Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source of superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portrais, and I'm joined, as always, by Sean Keenan.
Heidi would like to know, does anyone have change for a tampon?
And, of course, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and Huntington High gets a shout-out in this movie.
Oh, yeah. Today, we are talking about Josie and the Pussycats, but there's a good reason why, because the lovely people that support us on Patreon have said, hey, that's what we wanted you to do. And so we have a vote every month, and normally we put it towards the end of the month, but we decide to give it to you up front, everybody, because we've got a lot of stuff in December to talk about. So, but yeah, man, it was close.
Hey,
it was
you
a very
can't
close
sit
race.
on a gym like this all month.
No, you can't. You just have to get it in and get it done, man. And we'll be getting it done today, thanks to those people at Patreon that go and support us. So we'd really appreciate that. Patreon.com/HMP. Even for $1, man, you can go ahead and do this. And you know what? I'm going to start a thing out. It's a little bit a short time, but I think there's 17 as of this recording. There's 17 people that are on Patreon right now. I want to do 25 by 25. If we can get to 25 people supporting us on Patreon by December 25th, we'll do something. I don't know what it is. I haven't thought that far, but I thought 25 by 25 sounds really boss.
I may have the idea at the end of the show, actually.
Okay, we'll pocket that bad boy then. Why not? So that's what you call salesmanship, kids.
Is it Christmas shoes?
No Christmas shoes. I know you.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. You guys haven't heard this, but he's been going on about Christmas shoes for the past 45 minutes now. We're not really sure what in the world he's talking about, but you just let him do what he does.
Oh man, greatest Christmas song ever! That Christmas shoes song.
Mm-hmm. Now I know what you're talking about. And now I hate you more. It's terrible.
It's one of those you just can't help but start tapping your toes every time it comes on.
That's true, and especially with the shoes and all. Speaking of shoes, listen, I want to tell you guys right now, we don't we have a standard format to the show, but we don't sit here, we don't have like some sort of outline or something. We don't have things that we follow, but Bruce goes into shoes, and believe you me, wouldn't you know it, I got an email, or as we call it here at HMP Mail, from an executive producer of Patreon, Matt Schnapp, and it is entitled Footwear.
Nice.
Apropos, I'll tell you that much.
I'm listening.
This is the most HMP mail we've ever gotten, and I don't know why that statement seems true, but it certainly does. It's entitled Footwear. Matt writes as follows. As a faux/poser/wannabe runner, my shoes of choice are the Nike Free Flyknits, the 3.0s. Nothing says I'm the totally legit runner, you guys. No, seriously, I'm serious. Like these minimalist running shoes. You can walk proudly down the street, secure in the knowledge that people will see the fancy schmancy shoes and completely ignore the spare tire that comes from too much sitting on the couch. Yes, you can show off these awesome shoes and point out all the unique features, the facts that you don't need socks, the 3mm heel-to-toe drop, and the lightweight and flexibility. Nike Free Flyknits for all your, I'm a runner too needs. That is for Matt.
Wow, what an email. I wear the shoes with the little toes in them sometimes.
the Skeletos?
Yeah, they go well with my wizard robe.
Wizard robe and Skeletos. That makes a lot of sense. Matt, I have no clue why you sent that email, but for some reason, I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Okay, all right. Let me tag in. So
start your drinking now, kids.
I know what shoes he's talking about. Those are solid. I've stated many times I'm an Adidas man myself.
This is the first time I've heard of this.
No, really?
Mm-hmm.
No. And by the way, Adidas, how about throwing us a couple of shekels or something? Jeez, as often as I talk about you guys, maybe some free shoes.
And if they don't, Sean's going to Puma.
I actually, that's a very nervous laugh. Okay, so so those are some solid shoes. Not my choice, but those are solid. It depends on how brightly colored they are. Because they are a basic running shoe, which is, look, that's totally legit and totally fine. the more brightly colored your footwear is, the less they're going to look at the disgustingness that's hiding under your T-shirt. So what you kind of want to do is you want to get like a day glow green, yellow, or maybe like a safety orange, Matt. And Matt, I can't thank you enough for this HMP mail. For all of your shoe related questions, just send them on in, everybody. I will answer all of them. I promise I will.
Well, speaking as how we're on this, and I know Marty likes the shoe talk too. Go figure me why, I don't know. What do you think about the new Adidas with the recycled ones? You know what I'm talking about?
I do. You're talking about the recycled plastic, the ocean plastic.
Yeah. Once was choking a dolphin to death can now be riding on your feet.
That's right. I love it. I think that it's a great idea. I don't own a pair myself yet, but I plan on it. And they look cool. They kind of look a little bit like Marty's shoes from Back to the Future, a little bit.
Okay, because I'm picturing, like, I've seen pictures where kids will make shoes out of empty water bottles, like flip-flop kind of shoes. That's what I was picturing when you said recycled plastic from the ocean.
Yeah, that's a cornet short from the 1950s.
Oh, okay.
No, they're really cool looking, and I do plan on buying a pair there, Adam. That's a really excellent question.
And they finally got the new Nike shoes with the power laces and whatnot. Now it took them a year later than they should have, but supposedly those are.
That was some bad timing. You got to think that in the R&D department something went wrong, because they totally should have had them out last year.
Hey, they had to wait until the Cubs won the World Series so it could all line up.
It's all a year off, really.
1 year off.
Anyways, speaking of people that aren't off, people that go down to the iTunes, drop us a 5-star review, a.k.a. Humdinger.
Humdinger.
This one is from Micah Hunter, and it is entitled "Do Me D for Greatness." I don't know what that means. Let's read on, shall we? And strap in. Adam has to read a lot here.
Uh-oh.
Dr. Dan Dew, MD, has been doing everything in his power to try and keep me from listening, shaming me to travel this earth as Rocket Face. Oh, wouldn't you know it? Good old-fashioned Rocket Face.
Right on, Rocket Face.
Patreon. All our Patreon people, man, I'm telling you, they're all over this stuff, man.
RFK, the Rocket Face killer.
Yeah. Who could love a Rocket Face? Nonetheless, I persevere, continuing to support through Patreon and downloading every week. On occasion, my lovely, he says life, but I think that's wife. I don't know. No, it may be life. I don't know. I haven't read.
They're synonyms. They're
the same thing until they leave you. That's personal. No, I read it wrong. That's my fault. It is life. It's my lonely life. So maybe I can agree with this more than I thought.
Maybe it was his lonely wife. Let's keep going with the wife thing.
That's why not. Has even led me to listen to the back catalog and a few notes on it. So he's gone through and talked about some of the old classic HMP, if you will. Episode 3, Superman, 1978. Eve Tessmacher is a gorgeous babe. Your eyes and hearts must be broken. Episode 53, Batman and Robin from 1997. I was 7 when this came out. I saw it in the theater, and maybe my parents purchased it on VHS for me as well as several other toys. Bane and Freeze were my boys. I've watched this movie a couple dozen times. I'm certain and remember it fondly. I refuse to go back and rewatch, possibly having my childhood tainted further. You ruffians have done more than enough to shake its foundation with this review. And I will say this. That is the wisest thing you could ever do. We all have kind of old nostalgia bombs just kind of waiting to go off in our lives now. And now that the internet has come out, we all have access to everything all the time. You are a YouTube click or whatever away or iTunes or something to go and find whatever it is you're looking for and download it. And I will be honest with you, by and large, I'm going to say at least 9 times out of 10, you are going to be vastly disappointed by what you find. So keep your awesome memories and run away from and just hold them tight. Don't go back and revisit them, because you're gonna be like, what was wrong with me?
Unless it's something that's still in the public's consciousness.
Yeah.
Like, that's the exception to the rule. But if it's something that you watch when you were a kid and you were like, wow, that's dynamite, I can't wait to see that, I'll find it later on as an adult, That is a bad
Yeah,
idea.
if you pull yourself going, man, I haven't seen or thought about that in 20 years, stay away from it because it's bad news bears all around. One fine example for me was the Beetlejuice cartoon. As a child, I loved that thing. And then when I bought Beetlejuice on Blu-ray, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. It comes with like a couple of Beetlejuice animated episodes on the Blu-ray. And I'm like, sweet, I'm going to pop those in. I was like the first thing I watched, and I was just like, was I mentally damaged as a child? What was going on? Because this is just straight up awful. It is so bad. But then again, there's things that you can go back to. Like Animaniacs still holds up to this day. That is still just
and
brilliant stuff.
So does that RoboCop cartoon.
RoboCop cartoon. I barely remember that. So, but I like that well enough. So my guess is it's probably. You think that holds up? I mean, honestly,
it's just as good now as it was then.
Okay, so it's crap.
Tell me.
It's no Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. But it's
my
okay.
gosh, I watched that crap too.
I was going to ask you because I didn't really watch RoboCop. My family was kind of poor growing up, so we had to watch the off-brand cartoon of that. It was called Robert Cop. Is that the same?
Yeah, in Connecticut, they make sure that the rabbit ears only pick up knockoff stuff for the poor people.
It's all.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
It's all second grade Canadian garbage that they were like, look, let's just give this to the Americans. They'll think it's exotic.
That was a long way to go for that crappy joke. I'm proud of myself right now.
But no, it's look, like I said, keep to the stuff that you like. But I mean, and that's what this show's for, to go back and watch some of the things that you may have missed, or we may have missed. Lord knows we've seen a lot of those, come these many episodes and everything. But I think that's what we're here for. We're here to tell you what's good to go back and watch or bad to go back and watch, because sometimes even the bad ones are worth going back because they are just a fun kind of terrible as opposed to just terrible. So,
Thank you for the review, RFK, Rocket Face Killer.
Yeah. He is going to become a rapper with that. You just watch. All right. So speaking of music, I'm telling you, man, we're killing it with transitions these days. I don't know what's wrong with this. I mean, we're just hitting the groove, I think.
You're a dang pro now.
I'm trying to be. Let's go ahead and listen to the trailer for Josie and the Pussycats.
For every band, there is a moment when they know they have made it. For one band, this is not that moment.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. You're a great crowd.
Okay, girls, we need the lane now. And your shoes.
They were three small-town girls with big-time dreams.
Who's a rock star? I am.
Who wanted to share their music with the world.
We can't sit around here waiting for it to happen. We are musicians. We should be out there playing music. We do play.
Nobody believed in them.
You suck.
But they believed in themselves.
We're special. Yeah, special ed.
Now, in a world of tough competition,
And that is so sad.
fate is giving the Pussycats the chance of a lifetime.
We'd love for you to sign with Mega Records.
How am I gonna pull this off? I'm a girl from Riverdale. I'm not a rock star.
You gotta believe in yourself.
Things are finally going their way. But between the mania,
Is that Josie?
They're gonna be huge.
the managers,
We decide everything. What's hot and what's not.
Welcome to your party.
Who else thinks that Fiona's a freak?
and the media,
We're gonna be on TRL.
this may be the toughest gig they've ever played.
Have you noticed that everything has sort of become all about Josie?
Josie.
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 1, 2, 3.
Spin around. I made you a rock star. Tell me you don't love that. Forget it. I never liked you.
No matter what happens, we will always be friends first.
Are you gonna kill me with the guitar?
You messed with the wrong pussycat.
My bad.
Josie and the Pussycats.
All right, that was a trailer for Josie and the Pussycats, our retro review of this week. Here's the IMDb plotline. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. A girl group find themselves in the middle of a conspiracy to deliver subliminal messages through popular music and the send-up of the music industry and pop culture. This is written and directed by Harry Elephant and Deborah Kaplan, starring Rachel Lee Cook, Tara Reid, Rosario Dawson, Gabriel Mann, Missy Pyle, Alan Cumming, Parker Posey, and Carson Daly. We all have to talk about Carson Daly. Now,
Harry Spears.
And Harry Spears as well. We'll talk about him also. So, like Bruce said when he was kind of pitching this to us as one of the things to talk about on the show and everything, give an option for the Patreon people to choose from. I was like, really? That's oh yeah, when you think about it. So my guess is Bruce is going to have quite the comic book connection for us this week. What do you got, Bruce?
Well, Josie and the Pussycats was created in 1963 by the legendary Dan DeCarlo for Archie Comics because leopard bikinis were all the rage back then, and 14-year-old boys needed something to callous their hands with besides Betty and Veronica. Now, Dan DeCarlo is legendary because he is the artist credited with creating the Archie Comics look. Essentially what Jack Kirby did for Cosmic Planet-Eating Giants, DeCarlo did for the Hot Girl Next Door. Also, DeCarlo's wife was named Josie, so maybe there was some weird fantasy fulfillment going on in those comic books. Now, all of his work wasn't done for Archie Comics, as he was also the creator of Millie the Model and Sherry the Showgirl. And during World War II, he was the guy that painted those pictures on the airplanes, and that's no joke. Now, if there's any doubt about what DeCarlo liked to create, he also created the Archie character Cheryl Blossom, who had what I would call an uncomfortable relationship with her brother. Now, when asked about the inspiration for Josie, DeCarlo's wife had this to say. We went on a Caribbean cruise, and I had a cat costume for the cruise, and that's the way it started. So, folks, one cruise with a little va-va-voom can lead to 50 years of comic book enjoyment. Now, Josie was introduced in Archie's Pals and Gals, number 23, and then went on a trajectory that's the inverse to that which is presented in this movie by starring in a series simply called She's Josie before the title was changed to Josie and the Pussycats. And I can't confirm this next part, but I'm pretty sure that she is who replaced Carmen Electra in the Pussycat Dolls. Now, the series featured level-headed, sweet-natured Josie, her blonde bombshell friend Melody, and brunette Valerie. And brunette is the term that Archie Comics used to describe a person of color back then. Now the 14-year-old fantasies menu grew from blonde Betty and raven-haired Veronica to include a redhead, a touch of Motown, and another blonde, because let's be honest, 14-year-old boys can never have too many blondes to fantasize about. The only things that were really missing were a geisha, a little person, and a Supreme Court justice. And yes, I'm looking at you, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you foxy mama. Now, the comic was a hit because, again, hot girls in leopard print leotards isn't exactly a tough sell to 14-year-old boys. It also featured the hunky blonde guy, Alan M., that Josie had a crush on, as well as the hapless wannabe Josie's boyfriend, Alexander Cabot III, as well as his twin sister, Alexandra, whose hair was fashioned after Pepe Le Pew. Now, Hanna-Barbera produced a television cartoon version where Val played the tambourine because I guess Hanna and or Barbera thought she had the best rhythm. The cartoon is known for featuring Valerie as the first regularly appearing female black character in a Saturday morning cartoon show. Now, the cartoon was on in 1970, and it could easily be mistaken for Scooby-Doo or Jabberjaws or Speed Buggy. Well, I guess those examples were a bit redundant. But Josie and company were usually trying to stop a wizard in a submarine or something equally absurd. I like to think of it as a more reality-based version of the Monkees. Also of note is that Cheryl Ladd provided the singing voice of Melody, and Casey Kasem, a.k.a. Shaggy, was the voice of Alexander, a.k.a. Shaggy, as well as Don Messick, who was the voice of Scooby-Doo and also the voice of Sebastian the Cat in Josie and the Pussycats. Now, sadly, the cartoon only got one season, but I guess the writers had run out of ideas for how to stop crimes with the power of bubblegum pop music. And CBS did try to reboot the show as Josie and the Pussycats in outer space, but audiences just weren't buying it. When Universal Pictures was preparing this live-action movie adaptation, Josie and the Pussycats in 2001, Dan DeCarlo and Archie Comics became involved in a lawsuit over the character's ownership, leading the publisher to terminate its 43-year relationship with him. And the only work he could get was with Bongo Comics drawing the Bart Simpson series. So essentially, this movie ended the career of a comic book legend, so it darn well better be good. Now, another legend, Paul Dini, said upon DeCarlo's death, "It was tragic that when he was at an age when many cartoonists are revered as a treasure by a more beneficent publisher, Dan felt spurned and slighted by the owners of properties that prospered greatly from his contributions." So my question is, was it worth it, Rachel Lee Cook? Was it really worth it?
Yeah, now this is from the directing pair that also did Can't Hardly Wait. That was their movie before this, kind of another one of these kind of seminal 90s movies. And while this is from 2001, it all still also kind of seems a bit of kind of late 90s still as well, with its kind of themes and everything like that. But this is one I hadn't seen. I think I was...
You hadn't seen this at all before?
No. Like, I'd heard tons about it and everything, and I honestly, I'd heard a lot of pretty good things. But, I mean, at that point, 2001, Adam was probably too punk rock to think any of that would be anything close to being cool. So he was not about to watch this. While looking back now, I probably would have liked a lot of this music. So... And
I haven't seen this either, Bruce. It's kind of weird actually that you're so surprised that we haven't seen this movie. It's not.
It was on cable a lot.
Oh, is that what it is?
I think. I mean, I know I saw it. I saw it once. I didn't exactly go back for repeat viewings, but this is at a time when I guess Tara Reid was still kind of famous.
Yeah,
it was pre-Sharknado.
Oh, was it now?
It's so funny too when you first start watching this movie, because Rosario Dawson and Rachel Lee Cook are just so impossibly cute in this movie,
mm-hmm.
and then there's also Tara Reid. It's like she looks like somebody who's never not been high.
And, but here's the thing, though. But like when you've seen stuff of her now, it was just like, oh, she used to look a lot better, 15 years ago.
And I'll be honest.
And I'm not like,
Rachel Lee...
it's not my type, but it's just like compared to, she's going downhill. That's all I'm saying.
And Rachel Lee Cook was the cast member I was least interested in back when this movie came out. I wasn't the kind of person that ran out to see She's All That, and I kind of didn't like the idea that she got to be the lead character instead of maybe somebody that I knew a little better. You were you weren't a Freddie Prinze fan? What's wrong with you? Come on. Freddie Prinze is just fine in Scooby-Doo, so why didn't they bring in Sarah Michelle Gellar? She can put on a red wig. I don't think Sarah Michelle Gellar would have done as well, I'll be honest with you. I like her well enough. Not for this role, though, I don't think. Anyway. I think she might have put a few more butts in seats, but I'm just guessing there. I don't know. I thought this movie was fairly successful. I haven't looked at the budget and all that other jazz. I have no idea, but they didn't make Josie and the Pussycats go to space, so I'm guessing it wasn't that successful.
Which is probably where they were headed if this was successful, don't you think?
Yeah, and it has a good cast. Save, maybe Tara Reid's the limitations of her acting show pretty well here. Yowza, this was a bomb. I'm not a fan of Missy Pyle. I like Missy Pyle. She's an acquired comic taste, in my opinion. I think the only other thing I really know her from is Iron Man, and her role was small enough there that I didn't form much of an opinion. But I do not like her that much as Alexandra here. Isn't she in Mars Attacks also? Yeah, she's in a couple of Burton flicks and stuff. Yeah, she's just like, I don't know. I like her because she's an odd character, and she's a tall lady, and I feel that she's just like, hey, I realize that I may not be the most traditional kind of Hollywood actress. I'm not, she's not ugly or anything, but she's not like, oh, I'll be, Nicole Kidman or something. But is also going hey, I'm a little bit different looking than everyone else, but I'll kind of lean into the funny, and I kind of respect that. Okay, well, I can respect that, but I didn't really like her as Alexandra. I mean, Alexandra's supposed to be annoying. That's kind of the reason for the character, but something about it just didn't work for me compared to when you see Parker Posey doing an equally annoying character, and I just thought she did a pretty darn good job.
Oh man, Parker Posey is the highlight of this movie. Every time she's in it, it's just like, wow, she was so great in this.
I would say she's one of the 3 highlights of this movie.
Yeah, she's real good. Yeah, so box office.
The other 2 were probably Rosario Dawson.
Budget for this movie was $39 million estimated. Gross $14.2. That is not good.
Yeah, so that's why we didn't get to see him go to space.
No space involved here. I don't think they sold this thing very well.
And Adam, you said you liked the music. Did you see who the singing voice of Josie was?
I did, but I don't recall at the top of my head.
It's the lady from Letters to Cleo.
Yeah. It was good. And the nice part
she's got a good voice.
And the nice part is it looks like it could match with Rachel Lee Cook. That's the big thing, because a lot of times you'll hear these people get replaced with somebody who's just like, that doesn't feel like it fits in that body.
Yeah, like whoever they used as the singing voice for Gomer Pyle didn't sound at all like Jim Nabors. I don't know why.
Jim Nabors was a treasure.
And then also, you said you liked the music. Which did you like better, Josie's music or the music of De Jure?
Oh, it was great. First of all, I'll say this. Again, I didn't know much to expect from this movie. When this movie opened up with De Jure, so we've got Breckin Meyer, we got Seth Green, who was the other? Donald Faison.
Donald Faison, who I love. I'm a huge Faison fan.
And one other cat, I can't remember his name. He wasn't
he wasn't nearly as famous.
The least popular of the 4.
The least of the 4, yeah.
But man, when they came in, it's like it really establishes right away what this movie is, the tone that it's going for, and man, I was on board.
De Jure is now my second favorite fake band of all time.
We have to know the first.
Wild Stallions, come on.
Oh, well, there you go.
Oh, okay, I can go with that. But, De Jure's out there, and they've got a pretty good group of guys. And then they go into the jet, and, we can start to see some pretty ridiculous infighting. And Alan Cumming, Nightcrawler, comes into his own here. What'd you guys think of Nightcrawler here?
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's great in it. If we can backtrack for a second.
Yeah.
What was the deal with Breckin Meyer? Like, why did they, Hollywood just kept trying to make him famous? He was in everything.
Do you know who his wife is?
No.
She's the female half of the duo that directed and wrote this movie.
Oh, now I get it. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I like Breckin Meyer. I kind of wish that he was still doing stuff.
What a simpler time when Breckin Meyer was all in our face all the time.
Here's the thing,
putting Breckin Meyer and Seth Green together in the same band, something about that just seemed right.
They're friends, right? They're all friends.
Oh yeah, they're definitely longtime friends. Breckin Meyer, especially listen to the Robot Chicken stuff and other things. That's a funny dude. I think he just has never really found the proper thing for his voice. But when he gets into the right thing, he can work well enough. And it's odd, you wouldn't think that, but something about it can kind of work if he finds the right material.
Yeah.
A Freddy movie ain't going to be that, but
But I thought it was perfectly good for part of this boy band.
Oh no, he totally worked. Again, all these guys absolutely worked. They leaned so far into the characters, and like I said, this opening scene and everything tells you exactly what this movie is going to be.
Yeah, and with all the advertisements and stuff in the plant.
I was going to ask you, Sean, as a person who spent a good part of your time decorating and designing and dressing sets, what caught your attention about the inside of that airplane?
Well, it's funny, man, because clearly they were going for something, and I think that we need to bring this up before we really delve into this movie, which is that I think one of the problems with this movie is that it's that style of comedy that Americans don't seem to like too much. It's satire where clearly they're making fun of themselves, but they're also making fun of the movie, the music industry, and something about that rubs Americans wrong for the most part. You have exceptions to the rule, of course. But for the most part, that isn't going to be successful when it comes to American comedies, which leads me to this, right? Which is how come this movie is making fun of their target audience, basically, that they're saying that they're brainwashed if they listen to pop music, basically. And who is this for then?
I think it's for the person who loves Avril Lavigne. It's the pseudo rebel. It's like, I like punk rock because I listen to Green Day. I don't exactly think that's punk, but that's for people who really don't want to be too edgy, but kind of want to feel like they're their own person along with the 700 people around them.
Well,
right. I think that the teenager that's listening to the Pixies and reading Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Repair, like that kid isn't going to see this movie when it first comes out,
Yeah, and I mean it's for the people that think Avril Lavigne is different than Britney Spears, when in my opinion she really isn't.
But I don't see it that way, and I mean I can see how, like, on a surface level, absolutely, but like. It's funny to me because I was kind of mad at myself for not having watched this, because I was like, man, 2001 Adam would have actually been really behind a lot of the core messages of this thing, because he was not into listening to the crap that was on the radio that was just fed to you, that had basically subliminal message of drink more Coke inside of it and everything, and was prepackaged for you. And I'm kind of mad. I was kind of mad. I'm like, man, I could have enjoyed this movie a long time ago, when it was really kind of speaking to a lot of things that I, did and still kind of do stand for in a lot of ways.
I want to get back to this product placement running joke. Mm-hmm. Did you guys think it worked? Do you think it was executed well? Or I felt like it fell a little flat. For 2 seconds when it started, I was just like, oh, this is a little bit of, and then like after those 2 seconds, I'm like, I know exactly what they're doing, and I think it's brilliant. I loved it.
Well, the problem is that Wayne's World did it 1,000 times better than this movie does.
And unfortunately, that is the comparison that pops into my mind when I'm watching this movie, because of the product placement joke, which I'll be honest, it's at this weird part where it either needs to be 100% or about 30%, but they stuck around 75. So it could have been a little less or a little more, and I would have liked it better. But the big flaw is it made me think about Wayne's World, and a whole lot of kind of the themes, the general themes are the same as Wayne's World, these independent type of artists where, if Wayne's World were made today, they would be podcasters, not public access TV folks. Mm-hmm. But these independent people kind of going up against this system that wants to use them for their own benefit kind of thing. And just at the end of the day, Wayne's World is a much better movie than this.
Well, Wayne's World also has, and I don't throw this term around a lot, and I'm not joking when I say this. I think that Mike Myers, when he is firing on all cylinders, is a comic genius. He is, and that is not in this movie.
Yeah, I love him in Halloween.
They're funny. Like this movie has moments where you're like, oh, that's very clever. But, people aren't taking the jokes home with them from this movie.
Yeah. And the jokes aren't super. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about this writing team. They've done a couple of things. When I look at everything they've done, there's nothing there that I think is memorable.
Can't Hardly Wait is a surprisingly good movie for what that movie is.
Yeah,
and I think because of that, because you thought it was going to be yet another like paint by numbers coming of age teen, like romantic comedy, and it's not at all. It took everyone by surprise. So, these guys are creative and they can mess with a genre that has been done 1,000 times. So let's put them on Josie and the Pussycats.
So it's fair to say that it's not another teen movie.
It is not.
Okay.
Okay. Can't Hardly Wait it's surprisingly clever. It's not. I wouldn't call it funny. I wouldn't go so far as to call it that, but it is clever.
Okay. Maybe I'll have to check it out.
There's some great spots in this movie, though, man. Like there is a line that Alan Cummings delivers, and what he does with it is just absolutely glorious. Where he talks about how they've amassed so much success at one time, and he just goes, imagine having to go to usually you have to wait to go back to your 10-year high school reunion to have that kind of thing. Yeah. He pauses for half a second, touches his forehead, and just goes on like, I had to resolve a little something for me. Oh my gosh, that was brilliant. There's a lot of really just funny stuff in there that's not. Again, it's not. And I think you're right on a lot of ways, Bruce. America, we like a pie to the face or somebody falling down some stairs. If we have to think too hard about some stuff, we tend to shun that sometimes.
Well,
this. I'm sorry, Bruce. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say, though, is there are a couple of moments that I will tip my hat to, but then there's going to be a moment that's going to make me want to put that hat back down, because I do like it when Alan Cumming goes to the pilot, who I think one of the directors might have been playing the pilot there. But Alan Cumming goes up to him and he says, okay, let's take the Chevy to the levee. And then they jump out and they don't feel the need to kind of do what some people would do, where they kind of drive home why he says take the Chevy to the levee and what the
Big
song
Bopper,
American Pie is all about.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he's basically telling us that du jour are the collective Big Bopper.
Yeah. Something that I thought was very smart and was lovely that they didn't explain.
And then, later, though, when he gives the code word "smells like Teen Spirit," that didn't work nearly as well as drive the Chevy to the levee or whatever, take the Chevy to the levee. And then also when we first meet our heroes, the three ladies who would make up the Pussycats, just kind of a cheap joke is we got Melody standing there holding the signs, and one of them is honk if you like Pussycats, with a tree cleverly blocking part of the word. Causes a big accident.
I
thought that was just a little bit on the cheap side. And also, when I saw this, this is Josie and the Pussycats. This was a Saturday morning cartoon. This was an Archie comic. So I'm thinking they're maybe aiming for a little bit younger audience than that joke probably it was meant for. So I felt like there was some inconsistency in tone. There are a couple of other moments where this seems to be going on like a pretty sterile, simple little comedy. And then they'll throw out just stuff that just doesn't fit in with the tone if you're going for the audience that I think is going to be drawn to the subject matter here, to the source material. And that might be part of why this didn't do so well at the box office.
Well, they're going for 12 to 16-year-olds are their audience for this movie.
They kitchen sink this movie a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, you tell me. It's hard for Adam maybe to have this perspective, but Sean, when your girls were 12 years old, would you not have wanted to maybe cover their ears or eyes a couple of times?
Well, my kids have been exposed to stuff from early age just because of their upbringing, being.
But it's not because you care about your kids; it's because you care about what the other people in the theater think. So you want to act like you care.
I'm a good parent. I'm a good parent.
Yes, that's exactly why.
Sophia, how many times have I told you don't drop any F-bombs till we're in the car?
So when I got to go back for a second, right? So
yeah,
when the plane goes down, right? That is basically made for laughs.
Yeah.
And something struck me as odd about that, which is that the plane goes down. They're playing it for laughs that they're killing these four kids, basically. Like, haha, isn't that funny? And then I thought to myself, that monkey is also in the plane.
Dr. Zaius, call him by his name.
So when Dr. Zaius perishes in the plane crash,
you call him by his Christian name.
we think that he perishes in the plane crash.
Good point.
I'm wondering how many people in the movie theater at the time went, "Oh my God, that poor monkey!"
Mama, no, the monkey.
And also, I really, really think that it had to be Seth Green that gave the monkey that awesome name, Dr. Zaius.
Again, though, Bruce, don't forget, man. I mean, they really are kitchen sinking the script in this.
Well, I think the name is actually something that worked for me. I thought that was the perfect name.
Because there's even that part where Missy Pyle's character, they ask, "Why are you even here?" And she goes, "I'm in the comic book."
Yeah, that was awesome. And
What's that?
I do
Never
want to
mind.
say, I do want to say that I love the fact that the people who created this movie did want to have a whole lot of that comic book in it. I mean, they did put in characters that they didn't have to, characters that a lot of other people adapting this wouldn't have put in, like Alan M. and like Alexandra. And, some scenes in here could have been straight from the comics, but a good many of them definitely couldn't have been. But I do like it. Oh, also, you're worried about the monkey dying in the plane crash, but the whole thing I'm thinking.
Screw that monkey.
I'm sitting here thinking, so maybe they're trying to insinuate that the record label was behind the death of Buddy Holly and Richie Valens. Like, I started to think, man, they're making some dark accusations. They could be exposing themselves legally here.
Well, they do. I mean, because they even bring it up again later that keeps happening. That it's been happening for years and years and years.
They claim to be the sole reason for behind the music, which I like.
Yeah, that is a pretty clever
that.
joke.
That was really good, and just honestly to show the disposability that a lot of those people. It's like, when's the last time you heard anything from 98 Degrees? You could O-Town. You could take those boy bands and just flush them down the toilet, and no one gave a crap. We were on to the next thing.
The only one that was a floater was Timberlake.
Yeah. Timberlake they were all holding on to his shoelaces as they were being sucked down by the vortex of the tidy bowl. Go ahead. My crappy joke's done.
I'm going to change directions here. I'm sorry, guys. I can't keep up the toilet bowl analogy, so I'm going to shift gears here. You're going to flush our fun, huh? There you go. Exactly. So one of my biggest problems with this movie, and it really is jarring to me watching it, is that Josie and the Pussycats, when we first meet them, they are in a very unsuccessful band that no one's paying attention to. Mm-hmm. So do you honestly expect me to believe that two just really attractive girls and Tara Reid are in a band and no one is paying attention to them? And this is why I bring this up, right? I know about a band. There's a band in Charlotte. They have a female drummer, and she's very cute, right? She is not a great drummer. She's an okay drummer. But everyone goes to those shows because she's a cute girl and she plays drums. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they don't pack it out. The band isn't that great, but they're good. They're good. Well, they could use a different drummer. I was thinking the exact same thing. You're in a smallish town, and I'm going to go ahead and say 3 hot girls because Tara is much closer to Bunny Lebowski than Sharknado in 2001. Sure. And as long as their instruments are in tune, I can deal with it. If I have to, I can bring some earplugs. But I'm definitely going to be at that bowling alley, and I'm not going to be trying to get a turkey or whatever you do when you bowl. They could have uggoed up the girls a little bit pre-discovery. I mean, maybe not like impossible to ugg up Rosario. Well, I mean, agree. Well, homely up at least a little bit. Just strip away the veneer. Give them some pretty, pretty make basic. Them TV ugly. Yeah, TV ugly. But give them some basic clothes and stuff, and put your hair in a bun. Give him like the Ryan Reynolds fat suit from that high school reunion movie. Yeah, just something. Look, you can look underneath those and just because even the most attractive people, when you see them without makeup, it's we've all seen those little things on websites. It's like, look at 30 celebrities without makeup, and you're like, there's some still pretty good looking people in here. Yeah, I want to do the inverse. Take me, put as much makeup on as you want. I'm still not putting any selling any tickets to my fashion show. Yeah, they're like, oh, look at Brad Pitt without makeup. Isn't he horrible? I'm like, no, that's still a good-looking dude. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh man, but so I think that bowling alley would have been packed with the high school kids. But Alan M made me physically angry. The fact that Josie has a crush on this dork. It just brought back all these flashbacks of high school and college where why does this attractive girl, this not really handsome kind of odd-looking guy, why couldn't they like this really not handsome and odd-looking guy, as I pointed at myself instead? but Alan M is kind of like blonde-haired surfer, muscular folk singer kind of guy in the comics, and here he looks much more like a folk singer in high school should look, with the flip-flops and the jacket. If it's so cold that you need the jacket, put some socks and shoes on, buddy. You sound like an old man right now. Nobody does the "I really want this boy to kiss me" face quite like Rachel Lee Cook. She's got the best "I really wish this boy would kiss me" face. She really does. And I just had to assume that in this universe, Josie doesn't own a mirror, because I don't know why she would be at all intimidated by Alan M. Oh, I know. Jeez. And or maybe she can fix cars. She's punk rock. I mean, come on, man. Maybe she's got that same problem that one-eyed lady in Preacher had, where she sees the world very differently from how it really is. Dimensions are terrible. Everyone's a fish. Yeah. But he's got his broken truck, and when Josie's
in there fixing the truck for him, man. That's like a nice 1, 2, 3 punch, I'll say. Not even the 1, 2, but she's musically talented. She's definitely above average in the looks department, and she can actually fix your truck. It was enough to make me consider buying a truck and going back to high school, but that would probably get me thrown in jail.
Yeah, I think that's a bad idea, man.
At this point.
Hey, hello, fellow kids. Can one of you fix my truck, ladies?
I need to go to that high school that Strangers with Candy was at, because there's at least one girl there I could date legally.
So good.
So good.
But I do love how, like, you know, they finally get their discovery and everything, and all this stuff happens to them, and then they literally just go, "It is amazing what's happened in a week."
I do love that. And I also love that I can see, you know, the type of person that goes and auditions for American Idol. They probably saw this movie when they were 9 or 10 years old and really thought that's how music careers worked. You just have to wait for somebody to pick you up and make you famous. And you do hear these stories. Like, I heard that Criss Cross, the kids that wore their clothes backwards, were just walking around together in a mall, and some guy liked the way they looked and turned them into a rap sensation that, you know, that's their legacy is going to last forever.
If the song is anything to be believed, they were hanging out at the mall shooting a kid with a gun, showing suckers how it's done. So my guess is that was what happened, and there you have it.
They are the Miggly Mac.
That's why I always preferred those kids that were at the playground with Aisha or whatever. What were they called?
Another Bad Creation.
Yeah, I like those guys better. They seem like they wouldn't frighten me as much as the ones who wore their clothes backwards.
Along with Boyz II Men and BBD, they were the East Coast family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of which, speaking of like kind of 90s people and whatnot, did you guys see any trivia where they almost didn't cast Rosario in this bad boy?
Yeah, I did see that. That's ridiculous.
Who did they almost cast in her place?
It was Aaliyah, and who was the other one? Brittany.
I only remember Aaliyah. I don't remember the other one.
Brittany, I believe. Or what was it? No, wait. What's the...
Brandy.
Brandy. I knew it was a B.
So
I'm
they
like,
were going to go
single
more
name?
for the singing talent than the acting.
Yeah, they wanted somebody who could actually sing, and they were like, nah, we can fake that singing junk, man. These cats, we got to get somebody in here who can proper act.
And that is another problem with this movie, is that why don't you get real musicians?
Well, I'll say this because I'm a pretty decent. I'd say I'm a pretty decent judge. As far as guitar goes, Rachel Lee Cook, not so bad. It's very
very
passable.
You know what? Tara Reid can really beat the Skins.
No, you're wrong. And I was going to go to there just a minute. So Rosario Dawson, when she's thinking about it, she looks like she can fake playing the bass enough. But there's a couple of moments where it's just like where she's acting, where she's completely forgetting that she has another job that she should be doing right now. and God bless Tara Reid for showing up. Because this is like her, she has clearly no clue how to drum.
I want to talk about the severe limitations that Tara Reid had as a performer in this and every movie she's ever been in.
Okay.
But what shows up here, I mean, first off, she could probably be okay if she's just like Bunny Lebowski, you just kind of be there, don't really say a whole lot, just kind of be yourself. Like, I get the idea that personality-wise, Bunny and Tara weren't that far apart.
Yeah, probably not.
But and a really smart person can actually act kind of dumb and do a good job. Or
You're Lisa Kudrow. Yeah.
Yeah, or a dumb person can just be their self and do a good job. But when a dumb person tries to act dumb, it's just awful. And that's what we get here with Tara. She should have just been herself instead of trying to act like an airheaded blonde.
I don't know. It's a tough round, but I'll say this. Carson Daly was just like, hey, you seem dumb enough to get on this train. Hey, how you doing? Because that's where they kind of first hooked up, was this movie.
It is.
This
movie
would believe
made that happen.
I would believe it. I've heard stranger stories.
Two brain cells to rub together between the two of them.
And if we can get back to the MTV thing for here for a second, MTV News making an appearance.
Yeah, man.
How upset was everybody when it wasn't Kurt Loder?
Oh, I was.
Yeah,
mad,
I don't know, man.
He was already 75 years old by the time this movie came
out. And they didn't stop him from doing other stuff.
I always thought Serena Altschul was kind of hot, so I liked her there.
I just like seeing this old ancient man come on and tell us about the most hip news in the world. Where it's just like, what are you talking about, Grandpa?
And I like her because she made the transition to CNN and CBS Morning News and stuff like that, which I didn't think was possible.
Wow, she did?
Yeah. But it also helps. I think her grandfather and father are both like part owners in Goldman Sachs. So that always goes a long way with whatever career you choose.
Yeah, you're just like,
boy, that must be a nice life. Jeez.
My question is, if you're born into a family that owns Goldman Sachs, why even bother with MTV? Why not just start your own network?
Let's see, that's the problem.
Well, the same thing with the girl from the Fantastic Four movie. Her dad's side of the family owns the New York Giants,
or the Giants, and then her mother's side owns
Steelers.
The Steelers.
Yeah.
Why are you working?
Yeah.
Because someday she wants to own the Browns, I guess. I don't know.
She could probably do that
I think
now.
she can right now. Yeah. Jeez.
But I like her sister Kate a little bit better because she came to Huntington to make a movie once. But MTV, man, they've got a lot. They've got, I guess, Behind the Music was VH1, wasn't it? But that's still the same parent company.
It's all Viacom.
Yeah,
but I don't know about you, Adam, but it seems like everybody I know that's ever worked for MTV was a real jerk. So I'm kind of curious how it plays out in this movie.
Biggest jerkwads. They can't be trusted. I've always said it.
Now, I know we've gone way off the rails here a little bit, but I do want to point out something else that worked for me. Alan Cumming, Wyatt. I think his character's name is Wyatt. He lands in Riverdale. He quote unquote discovers Josie and the Pussycats, and then they very quickly leave Riverdale and go to New York. And I think that was a good move because the whole time that they spent in Riverdale, I just kept really wanting to see Jughead. I really wanted Jughead and Moose to be around. You can't stay in Riverdale and not have the Archie crew. So I think it was good to get him out of there quick.
Sean, let me ask you, on a scale of 1 to...
You go ahead.
On a scale of 1 to 10, Sean, how much are you surprised that Bruce is a Jughead fan?
0? Is there anything less than 0? I am not surprised at all. I'm guessing, Bruce, you probably had an eye on this more than I did. Did you see anyone? Like, did you see Archie? Did you see Jughead or any?
Nope.
No, I didn't know.
Mr. Weatherby, nobody. Not even Hot Dog.
I don't even know who that is.
Hot Dog is Jughead's dog.
Oh. Okay,
and they could have had a little Melissa Joan Hart. Sabrina has ties to Riverdale. That would have been nice.
Mm-hmm.
She was only like 25 at the time this movie came out, so...
Yeah, she was Sabrina on network TV at the time this show was coming out, or this movie was coming out.
It would make sense.
I don't know.
But it also makes sense to have the X-Men in Infinity War. But you know what? We'll jump off that bridge later.
Whatever.
Man. But, okay, so they go to New York, and one of the first things that happens that really catches Valerie's attention more than Melody, who... is just off in her own universe for the most part. But suddenly the name of the band changes from the Pussycats to Josie and the Pussycats. And that kind of irks Valerie a little bit, or concerns her a little bit, being kind of pushed to the background a little bit. And then it's awesome when she goes and watches that Behind the Music with Babyface in it, playing the Chief from The Chief, Captain, and Tennille.
So good.
That is pretty great.
Now he's the janitor, like mopping up or whatever, and they're interviewing him. And I don't know why it's so much fun to me that it was Babyface playing that part. I mean, they could have probably done the same thing with anybody, but it gives me so much joy just knowing that was Babyface.
That is pretty funny. And then he ends the whole thing with us. It's all about family. That's pretty funny, man. That's a good joke.
Boy, we should have got that in writing.
And I was wondering if they were going to go with it a little further and show bands that we considered to be entirely white members and find out about the black member that got kicked out, kind of like how Eddie Murphy did the Fifth Beatle thing that played the saxophone on SNL. I thought maybe they were going to kind of push that a little bit because Wyatt did go out of his way to point out, let's just say the difference in skin tone when he says it's like the Spice Girls, only one of them has a really deep tan, or it's like TLC with 2 white girls or something like that. But he really wanted to make sure that the attention was drawn to the ethnic makeup of this group.
This movie's subversive, but it's not that subversive.
Yeah.
I felt it was interesting. I thought it was just kind of like of course they would make that. I mean, that just sounds like a record executive to me.
Yeah, but if that movie's made in 2015, they probably don't put that line in at all.
No,
I don't think you dare describe a person of color as somebody with a really deep tan.
That's kind of what I liked. Sure. Again, that's kind of what I liked about it, is that it kind of gave an up yours to a lot of this sort of stuff. So I mean, again, 2001 Adam would have been right at home with this movie. I don't know why I didn't watch it.
I gotta ask this question because you just brought it up, and this is nice because I've kind of been jumping around this question that I wrote down on my notes while I was watching it. Right. So this movie did not do well. Mm-hmm. This movie, it happens before 9/11. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's clear that it happened before 9/11 because the entertainment industry changes almost overnight after that happens. And I'm wondering, do you guys know if the studio blamed 9/11 for this movie doing so poorly? Because it came out during that time.
What was the release date? I thought it was a summer movie.
It is a summer movie.
It's like
but,
April.
September. I mean, you're still in the summer. Basically.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's released in June or July, you can't really blame something that happened 2 months after the release for this dismal of a box office.
No, I think this. I'll look it up here real quick. But I thought I saw this thing was in April.
Oh, really?
Yeah, April 11th, 2001. So no, you can say 9/11 all you want. It ain't gonna work.
I remember seeing this movie before I moved to Nashville, and I was living in Nashville when 9/11 happened. So I knew it had to be far enough ahead of that it probably, unless you're really, really sweating it with the board members trying to explain why this movie collapsed, you might try to pull that out of your pocket. But I don't think that's a legitimate reason.
Yeah, nobody
would
buy
do well
that
at the box office.
Okay.
Plane crash scene wouldn't have done the whole.
Yeah,
wouldn't have done a lot.
That's another reason why that's one of the things that made me think about it because I couldn't remember when it came out in 2001, but the plane crash told me that this was clearly before 9/11.
Yeah.
Now, what did you guys think of this weird, like, slumber party, all girls climb on the bed and give each other back rubs scene that Fiona has with the Pussycats?
It was
God, I love it so much.
I thought it was awesome.
So bizarre.
Parker Posey is like, like she's just really hamming it up and being all Parker Posey, and I love it so much.
And at that moment, I just understood that character of Fiona so much better. Like, I thought she was just the corporate greed, more stereotypical villain in a movie like this. But then you realize she just wants to be one of the popular girls, and maybe this is her way to do it. And it was just so much fun in the way she's just such a good actress, man. She can just pull all this stuff off. And years of working on more improvisational movies, I think, shows here. And the way she gets the single Pringle, puts it on a plate, calls herself a pig, throws it down, then asks Josie how much she weighs, and it's like a competition there.
It's so good.
And then her lisp starts to come out a little bit, and you're starting to get some insight into who Fiona is.
I kind of didn't get that part at first. I got it later, but I kind of didn't understand what they were going for at the time when they first started doing that.
Yeah, and at first I thought, I actually rewound it and watched. I thought, did she say something inappropriate? Now she's trying to cover it up by pretending she has a lisp. Like, I thought maybe she made a comment about Josie's thong and then tried to pretend that she had a lisp and was trying to say song. But then, it became clear, no, she's suppressing a lisp here.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, to me, like, all this seems like just so very accurate as to, kind of music industry, entertainment industry, because the people that are behind, like, management and all that kind of stuff, by and large, these people are absolutely talentless. And they do have to live through other people's success and stuff going, oh, look at how successful I am. It's like, did you really do anything? The answer is no, more than likely. But I thought it very apropos of everything, and because look, I mean, and politics is the same way. Show business for ugly people. It's called, well, I couldn't be a movie star, so I'm going to get my name in the limelight some way or the other. So
And then after the slumber party scene, they kind of try to make Melody an idiot savant because she's the one who kind of she's the first one to really, really know something's up, though she's not sure what it is. And I like it. She, in typical Melody fashion, she says she has they gave her a chill up her spine, and they point out she's sitting on an ice sculpture, but she stands up and goes, "No, that wasn't it. There's something off here."
And you can always play a game in this with this movie of how often do we get to just barely see Tara Reid's butt crack?
Yeah, that's one of the highlights of the movie, I guess, if you're into that sort of thing.
Tara Reid, all this entire movie, I'm just going, someone give this girl a sandwich. She's just she's so thin.
She's just not been the same since that guy quit coming to fix the cable.
Well, the great part is what was it? Was it her that was in Scream? Yeah. So and she was
in American Pie too.
Yeah. She had a little bit of something on her in those movies. It's just like crazy took hold. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, she was a little better in American Pie than in American Pie 2, but yeah, she had something there.
But
Valerie, I guess, has a closed circuit, or not Valerie, but Fiona has a closed circuit television, and she sees the girls out there talking, so she orders Wyatt to kill the band again. But then they realize they've invested all this money in these fake rabbit or fake cat ears, so they can only kill Melody and Valerie, and they have to separate Josie from them. And they start this what I think is a real fun scene, even though some people I could see calling it corny, but it felt like something that would be in an Archie comic, where Wyatt comes in to tell her, Alan M called and he canceled his concert. And she goes, "Oh, really? Is there a message?" She goes, "Yes, there is." Then he jumps up and then he sits down, and then she says something else, and he jumps up to leave a further message at the front desk. That really felt like something you would see Archie trying to do when he's on a date with two girls at the same time or something.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This movie has a lot of comic booky, like old school comic booky kind of feel to it. To where it's like they're kind of aware of what. Well, actually, I mean, the movie itself is clearly aware of everything that they're doing, and the characters at some points are as well. And I don't know. To me, I liked it.
And there's the master plan. I love their master plan for how to kill Melody and Val, and that's to send them to a fake TRL where they can be killed by Carson Daly and the other Carson Daly.
That is pretty funny. Although I gotta tell you. Are you guys Ari Spears fans?
Listen,
I was going to ask you guys that. I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Okay.
I think that Ari Spears is quite possibly the least funny person that's ever been on television, with the exception of Carlos Mencia.
Wow. I liked well enough some of the stuff that he did on Mad TV. Outside of that, no. Because it's a lot of it's just really pretty bad impressions, and I saw him in person not too awful long, a couple years back, and it was his whole stand-up act is not very good.
I think he does a great Shaquille O'Neal, and he should have just stuck with that. You should be like the guy that realized the guy from Mad TV that realized he could do Madden really well, so he quit doing anybody else for the most part. I think Ari Spears should have just stuck with Shaquille O'Neal, which he can nail that one.
I will say this: I really liked his. I'm pretty sure it was him. His Magic Johnson, and the whole they had this whole thing of how Magic Johnson can't read, and oh my gosh, it was just so funny that he would host Jeopardy and he couldn't read anything. He tried to read to kids, and the kids would have to read the book for him and stuff. It's just, I don't know, just seeing Magic Johnson portrayed as a dude who can't read is somehow funny to me.
That's a stolen bit, unfortunately.
No.
He stole that bit.
Did he steal it from Carlos Mencia?
That's funny. Triple steal. You're talking about Frank Caliendo.
The Mad TV guy.
Yeah, he unfortunately did not stick with just Madden. He still thinks he can do everybody. He'll pop off a Robin Williams impression still. He's just awful.
His Jim Rome's on point though. That's pretty accurate.
It is.
That's pretty accurate.
Very true.
Now, but as far as Ari Spears, I think a big part of it is just Mad TV is always. It's going to feel like what did you call that? Robert Cop. It feels like Robert Cop whenever you're watching it. So that's
the problem with Mad TV. Look, I'm not going to go down this hole, but the problem with Mad TV is that Mad TV had better performance. The actors on that show, the comedic actors on that show are better than the comedic actors from Saturday Night Live. The problem is the writing was awful on that show.
They had no Tina Fey.
Exactly. I mean, they didn't have a Tina Fey at the time. They didn't have a Bob Odenkirk. They had basically the people who couldn't get on Saturday Night Live writing that show.
And the problem also was that they kept running the same stuff into the ground. That's to me that was their biggest downfall. Is hey, you have some funny stuff. Instead of doing 15 Mrs. Swans a year, do 2.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I like Mrs. Swan.
I did too, but seriously, after 6 years in a row of having 10 of them in each season, no, it's too much. Little goes a long way.
It did give us Artie Lang, so we have that to thank it for too. But Back to the movie. The Valerie and Mel managed to get away from the would-be assassins, including Carson Daly and the other Carson Daly or whatever they're called. And they get back and they find Josie, and Josie's figured out that somehow the music was causing her to be mean, and she goes into the studio and puts her CD into a CD player, and she's able to isolate the tracks from just like a commercially available CD, which, you know, that's not really how it works. But still,
here's the thing.
Gets the idea across.
You could be able to do that, but it'd take way more work than what was there. It's pretty far fetched. It's not impossible to do that, but it's not very probable or likely that it would have been done.
It'd be a whole lot easier,
but not impossible.
It'd be a whole lot easier if she had the master and she was working with that, which she should have had because she was in the studio where it was recorded. But aside from that, the three girls, though, the three young ladies, all join forces once again and realize that they're the good guys and that Mega Records are the bad guys. And they've got this giant pay-per-view concert where there's this plot to use the I keep wanting to call them bunny ears, but the cat ears to brainwash everybody. And Josie doesn't want to be part of that, but they decide they're going to hold the other two bandmates hostage if Josie doesn't cooperate. And that gives us a great, I guess as good as a fight scene can be in a movie called Josie and the Pussycats.
I actually have written down in my notes, I believe that the fight choreography in Josie and the Pussycats is actually what inspired Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, correct?
I think so. Now, with the fight scene, I like it that essentially Rosario Dawson's just a straight up butt kicker. Like there's no two ways about it. She's just ready to brawl and tells him, you know, you messed with the wrong pussycat. But then Tara Reid is supposed to be this master of Shaolin Kung Fu or something here, you know, like just nobody expected her to be like the baddest member of the group. So that's the joke. But man, you can't tell me that they couldn't have sped up the camera a little bit, made even quicker jump cuts. They could have done something to make it look like she was actually doing something.
Or do what they did for the monkeys in the 60s TV show, for God's sake. You know, like anything else besides what they did in this movie for that garbage.
They could have just brought in Cynthia Rothrock as the stunt double for this scene. That would have been great.
That would have been awesome.
Bring in 47-year-old Cynthia Rothrock.
But I really didn't like the joke they were going for with Josie and Fiona's fight where they were literally cat fighting.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it was insulting too. I mean,
I don't know. I see a lot. You look up chick fights on the internet. That's how a lot of them go. I mean, say what you will.
Look up insert any race on the internet, and you're going to find stereotypical stuff that isn't fair to put in a movie. So,
yeah.
So anyway, I didn't like that part. I thought they could have found something more creative and more fun with that. But anyway, in the fight, I guess the brainwashing machine gets broken. And then sort of the god from the machine here, the unexpected twist at the end that shows up to help save the day. It turns out Du Jour knew how to fly a plane, so they safely landed the plane, but they're all beat up because they safely landed in a Metallica parking lot or something like that. So they got beat up by the Metallica fans because they hated Du Jour.
I'm just glad I knew all the words to Enter Sandman. Yes.
So I do like it that Du Jour shows back up to save the day, but you know, just in relation to what Sean had talked about earlier, I don't think I saw Dr. Zaius with him.
Oh, he was.
No, he's there.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
hopefully the Metallica fans took it easy on Dr. Zaius.
Well,
he was also bandaged up.
Yeah, he was in for it too.
Where do you get little monkey bandages, man? Poor guy.
But the nice part is too,
bandage store. Duh.
is they show up and it's just like, oh, here are these guys to save the day, and they don't do squat. I did like that.
Yeah, that was funny.
And I also like we get this reveal, you know, finally Fiona takes out the prosthetic that she has over her upper teeth and her lisp comes out. And then all of a sudden Wyatt starts to reveal a few things, right?
We were
he
in
got
the
a belly.
He's an albino.
And he pulls off his wig, rubs off his makeup. And then she goes, oh, what did she call him? White ass Wyatt? And he goes, Fiona from Huntington High. And I love that, you know, because I live in Huntington and I know there's more than one Huntington High, but ours is the closest to Riverdale.
And is the one where that lady's teeth are put closest to be like that. I'm kidding, Huntington. I kid with love.
Man. The local mascot, they are the fighting albinos, so I think there's something to it.
There you go. All roads lead back.
They only play night games.
Son is damaging. Not
They play the Catholic school, the Screaming Altar Boys.
Yeah, but I do like it after all this big reveal, and I guess we're going to get a romance between Wyatt the albino and lisping Fiona. But then they still have the concert, which, you know, I understand the show must go on and everything, but something at this level, like when both producers are probably going to jail and they and thought to be dead boy band. I do love it though when MTV was talking about their death. They had Du jour 2000-2001. I like their career was very brief.
Good too.
But yeah, they go ahead and continue the concert. Like I have to think at some point this concert gets canceled, but they go out there to be the real Josie and the Pussycats for their fans.
And here's yet another part where I'm like, you guys, why are you not doing it like this? The only song anyone has ever heard from Josie and the Pussycats is the theme song to Josie and the Pussycats. Why are you not ending the concert with the massive sing-along of Josie and the Pussycats? It makes no sense to me at all.
Well, they did use it for the credits, so maybe
but that's not the same. That's not the same.
Right.
It's like button at the end.
I think they were doing the song that they were expecting to be a hit on the radio. I think they were doing the song they actually thought they might make some money from rather than the cover song.
They were wrong.
Yeah, they were wrong. This was no Whitney Houston from The Bodyguard type music sensation here.
No, definitely not.
Few things are. All right, now before we break down our final grades for this movie, we've got to break down how this movie relates back to our good friend Sylvester Stallone.
Thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement.
Oh.
So, guys, guess which movie Rachel Lee Cook is in with Sylvester Stallone?
I don't know.
Rocky, the original.
Get Carter.
All roads lead back to Get Carter.
And honestly, I've exhausted all of my Get Carter facts because this is a movie we've gone back to so many times that at this point, the only people who know more about the movie Get Carter are sorry, guys. At this point, the only people who know more about the movie Get Carter are man, that is poorly written. I'm sorry. Okay.
That was a great impersonation of Adam there.
How dare you?
I know. At least I'm reading. The only people who know more about the movie than the people who listen to HMP are the people who actually produce Get Carter and people directly related to the Stallone family. That would have gone a way better if I hadn't butchered it. And now, guys, I am going to suggest something to you, and I want you to think seriously about it. We should review Get Carter.
That would be a nice little bonus.
That's a
bonus if we get that 25 by 25.
Yeah, that's a Patreon. 25 by you've just nailed it. 25 by 25. We will do a review of Get Carter. So patreon.com/HMP. Continue.
All right. Now, I want to talk about Rachel Lee Cook because there's some interesting things about her that people might not know. Things like she went to South Minneapolis High School, which is the same high school that Adam Portrais' favorite Josh Hartnett went to.
Woo-wee.
And in 2002, she made Stuff Magazine's number 26 sexiest woman in the world. She also used to date Ryan Reynolds, who is secretly one of Hollywood's finest stickmen. And I hate the tabloid baby bump or Kim and Kanye done kind of crap. But listen to this checklist of Ryan Reynolds. Listen to this bad boy. Blake Lively, Scarlett Johansson, 90s Alanis Morissette, Sandra Bullock, Rachel Lee Cook, and Charlize Theron. Even if you don't like that guy's work, you have to like that guy's work. That is dynamite.
Not bad.
Rachel Lee Cook is also who the writer of the Twilight series had in mind when she was writing the character Alice Cullen, whoever that is. I have no idea that character, but she had her in mind.
That's the main broad, right, Bruce? I know.
Sure.
I know he knows. He fakes it.
Who are you talking about? I was looking up something.
Alice Cullen, the character Alice Cullen from Twilight. I thought that character's name was Belle.
Well, she Alice was Edward's sister, I think.
Gotcha.
Everything makes sense now.
Rachel Lee Cook played Alice. Yeah, she's the one who could tell the future.
Oh,
Yeah.
so she's actually in Twilight?
Maybe.
Oh. Well, she also got offered the role of Rogue in the X-Men series, but turned it down because she didn't want to work with so many CGI effects, which sounds weird now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And even though Rachel Lee Cook's career isn't where it used to be, these days she's doing made-for-Hallmark Channel movies. At least she's not showing up every time they make a new Sharknado. So there you have it, HMPers. This week's Stallone Connection. Now, Chris Klein and Shannon Elizabeth, let's review this movie so we can make our own live-action version of Pebbles and Bam Bam.
I don't know who I want to be more in that equation. I'll be honest. I'd be happy with either.
No, you want to be Shannon Elizabeth. No one wants to be Chris Klein.
It was Ashley Green, not Rachel Lee Cook.
No, I'm sorry.
who played
That's
that
my
character
bad. I
in
was
Stockholm.
thinking Kevin Kline. That's my fault. I was thinking of someone talented. Boom, Chris Klein. Take some of those home with you, will you? All right.
That's some hot Chris Klein action.
All right, so before we get to our final reviews here, we want to let you guys know that we have something called the Patented Robin Rating System. Now, if you don't know what that is, you can go to facebook.com/Hero Movie Podcast and see it right there on the top of the page. And while you're there, why not hit that like button and follow along our fantastic, magical comic book podcast stuff.
Yeah.
Have some of those. So, Bruce, where does Josie and the Pussycats from 2001 fall on the HMP Robin rating system for you, sir?
I'm just going to say I don't think I like this movie as good as you guys do. And if it weren't for Rosario Dawson, I would probably give it a Jason Todd. But because I really, really like Rosario, I'm going to give it a Damian Wayne.
Damian Wayne, all right.
2 chowder buckets up there.
And, of course, Sean.
Well, I don't love this movie. I don't particularly even like this movie very much. But the movie's bad, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. And unlike Adam, I thought that the music was totally forgettable. And the pacing of this movie is off, so it kind of feels like you're watching 3 movies, because it's so long. It feels so long. But it's not really bad. The message of the movie seems to be, as long as you're good looking, be yourself, which is weird.
Yeah.
And
Will do.
It's not as bad. I like the new bit that you have going, Adam. You keep complimenting yourself. The looks department. That is a good bit, man. That might be your strongest bit yet.
It's all a ruse.
I'm gonna give it a high Stephanie Brown. This movie, I don't like it. I don't, but it's not awful.
Okay.
Stephanie Brown.
All right, on to me. I'm the opposite. I don't know why. Something just happened. This movie kind of struck me, and I kind of started it real late. I was just like, well, let me see if I can, find a copy of this thing. Found it, and I was like, well, let me watch the first couple of minutes here, just kind of get a vibe of it. It's 2:30 in the morning. I should be going to sleep, but I'll just watch it. And I watched 20, after the du jour scene, I was just like, okay, I'm in this. I probably watched it for 20 minutes, and I'm just like, oh, I'm really going to enjoy this, and watched it today. But I had a blast with this thing. And I'm usually pretty cynical about stuff, but something about it really worked for me. I found the songs fun and a lot of the humor funny, and it just kind of poking fun at itself and the industry and all that other kind of stuff. So I did not think I would be recommending this as highly as I am, but I am going to give this a Tim Drake.
Whoa!
Yeah. I had a
Bruce, you SOP. I just saw that you said the wiki link for the Christmas shoes.
Yeah, there's a movie starring Rob Lowe and Kimberly Williams. So if we're looking for outside the box movies to review along with Get Carter, we could do the Christmas shoes.
Stop trying to sell the Christmas shoes, you horrible man.
I love Rob Lowe and Kimberly Williams.
Oh, God, that's so funny. You sent a wiki link to the Christmas shoes while we were recording.
We'll only do the Christmas shoes if we get up to 50 Patreon subscribers. I don't want to.
Oh my God!
I want to make that. I want to make that one hard to reach. So there you go. So that is it, everybody. I don't know if you guys have heard anything. There's this new indie film that's coming out next week. You may have heard of it. It's let me see if I pronounce this correctly.
It's an X-Men spinoff, I think.
I think so. It's called Rogue. Rogue One. Could be about anything. I'm not really sure. But yeah, man.
I think it's a prequel to An American Tale.
Oh.
I like it because I like it when the first movie in a franchise goes ahead and puts the 1 after it, and then we can have Rogue 2 and Rogue 3 and Rogue 4.
Rogue 2.3.
It's like Rocky 1.
Yeah, there you go.
No, man, Rogue 2 found Han and Luke on Hoth.
That'll be a good movie.
Yeah, see? Just wait for it, kids, because we got to make money somehow. But yeah, next week we'll be talking about Rogue One here at the latest in the Star Wars entry. This is the what are they calling this one?
A Star Wars story.
Star Wars story. Yeah, it's going to be one of those. So we'll see how that goes. It's yet another prequel. Oh gosh, with the prequels, these guys. I think this one might be better than the other ones. I could be wrong, but we'll see. So that is it. Until next week, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet this week, sir?
You can just check out my new website, ilovechristmasshoes.com, and rate and review I Love Christmas Shoes on iTunes, the song.
Send us your letterbox reviews. HeroMoviePodcast@gmail.com. Keenan?
You can find me at my new website, BruceLovesChristmasShoes.com. And you should rate and review. You should rate and review how much you think Bruce loves Christmas shoes.
Show's got off the rails. And, of course, HeroMoviePodcast.com. You guys know all the links are in the show notes. You know where that is. Thank you guys so much. Join us back here next week for Rogue One. For Sean Keenan and Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.
I'm a punk rock queen. Brown paper magazine. Hotter than you've ever seen. Everywhere and in between. One cent to get through right. Don't you want to come inside? If I saw a triple threat, how to sell the odds again? No one's new record bet. Ain't seen nothing new. It took 6 whole hours and 5 long days for all your lies to come undone. And those 3 small words were way too late. 'Cause you can't see that I'm the one. I'm your late night head rush. Ace high road flush. Red velvet orange crush. You just don't impress me much. A glassy double cover spread opened up inside your head. A black cherry paradise had the sugar twice the spice. I don't wanna treat you nice. Come on, baby, roll the dice. It took 6 whole hours and 5 long days for all your lies to come undone. And those 3 small words were way too late. Can't you see that I'm the one? It took 6